Well, I did quite a bit of juggling and playing with this. I looked at this bolt here for the shock, and it looks like an ideal place to put my transverse bar. What do they call it? I forget. But I've got this 1/2 inch by 2 plate in here. I got it drilled for the shock. I spent quite a while this morning on a lathe. You can see all the aluminum over there, making a bushing for that bottom of that shock. I've got this in here. It's just prying this down to get this level. You know, I'm real close to 90 there, so the shock will be compressing at right angles. I've kind of got it jacked up here. This would be ride height. Well, it might go down just a little, but it looks pretty good here. I got that wrench stuck under there to set my pinion angle. Excuse me. But anyway, I'm gonna weld this on top. I'm gonna weld that 1.5 inch piece in. It's going into the inside of the frame there. I'll weld it on both sides of the frame against the face of the frame, and then I'll weld another brace going from the bottom of the frame up to the middle of that piece. That should tie it to the top and bottom of the frame, and then that'll still leave me room to box this frame here. It's only got like 3 or 4 inches of leverage there, and it really not going anywhere because it's mounted into this back cross member. I'll weld it. When I jack it up, without a bolt on the shock, it will fall out. So I've kind of determined how this one shock is going to work. It all looks good. It's not hitting anything. It's compressing straight. My bolts are all straight and level. I think this, I don't want to keep calling it a sway bar, panhard bar. I can bring it up. Of course, the longer it is, the less angle it traverses. So I got to get it over here to the frame. And I've got it where it just clears the rear end here. I got a little bit of movement in it, and I think I can get it behind the shock and over here into this frame. So that's as long as I can get it. This only got a couple inches of travel or so, so I doubt if, you know, this body will go side to side, you know, 1/8 of an inch maybe. I don't think it's going to really make any difference, and it'll save me a lot of welding some more brackets on the rear end and going up there to the front and welding something in there. So I can just put it on a shock bolt. It's plenty big enough and strong enough, and run it over here to the frame. I'll just have to make one mount. have to cut that bar in half. Put a piece of pipe on it or something to extend it to the right length. And I'll put it in the middle of the heim joints and weld it up. And that way I can turn it one way and I can move the rear end to the left, move it the other way, and I can push the rear end. So one way is going to pull it this way, the other end is going to push it that way. So I think this will be good enough. You know, that's not going to have a hell of a lot of force on it. Basically just what these rubber mounts are going to transmit in corners and stuff. And pretty sure that's gonna work out. It'll look pretty trick. Well, I don't know how trick it'll look, but it'll look good. If I take it to the bottom of the frame down to that bolt, it's probably like 8 inches. So 1 inch trowel out of 8, out of, you know, 2 inches. So let's say that's 3 feet roughly. Moving 2 inches and 3 feet, you could imagine a yardstick on the floor if you made a little arc with it. 2-inch arc. How much difference would the length be? Not very much. So I think I'll be good for that. It'd be fairly easy to mount. This is going to take some cutting to pieces and getting in there with a wire brush and clean the inside of that frame. And welding this together. And then from there, I'll have to try to finish boxing around these braces. So I want to try to get those in behind where I need to box it to start with. And that should do it on this side. And then basically I'll just have to cut the pieces up and duplicate it on this side over here. So, took me all morning to figure that out, but I got it. So now we have to cut it and weld it. I'm still fabricating on this rear end. I got a pretty strong shock mount here, but when I put the stem through the hole, it lowered it quite a bit. I've got a bump stop in there that's about 1 inch, and it was like 1 inch off the bump stop. So what I did, I put a socket in there just to raise it up. So what I'm going to do, this is pretty good right now. I'm going to have to cut this bracket out of here and redo it. So I'm going to weld up this one. I've got my pieces cut and measure it, weld it in first. I got this figured out. Cut. I lowered this one here 1.5 inches on the frame. I think it's the same here on the back. I think that's 1.5 inch piece. I got this ring vertical. I got a riser inside the frame there that this brace will hold to, so it's going to be pulling from the bottom and pushing from the top. Unfortunately, this one here is only going to have just welded across the top of that frame. might, once I get it welded in, I'll put some kind of a spacer so it's holding the bottom frame. That's all I had here was just one top one, but it's a pretty good wide brace across there, probably 6 inches long. And once I can get this welded in, then I'll cut off that extra long piece there. I didn't want to do it right now. I'm going to try to get it tacked together, because I've welded it up already. I'm going to have to cut all that one loose. Plus I'm running out of gas fast. Anyway, I think this is pretty good. I'm going to tack all these joints in a couple places, unclamp them, see what it looks like. Well, I got this welded in. Horrible job. My welder keeps sputtering and stopping and starting, and plus I'm kind of running out of CO2 as well. But anyway, I got it kind of lumped in here pretty good. I need to grind it down and clean it up, and I think I need to put another tip on that gun. It's just kind of chattering and not laying a good bead at all. It'll work every once in a while and then mess up again. Anyway, this is all in, and that should be approximately the same height as this one is with the socket on it. So I guess I can try to jack it up here and see what we got. Springs and stuff, a couple $100 just for cheap stuff. And I've already got the brackets made. I have to cut this one out, duplicate the same as over there, but some of it's going to be good enough, like this top plate will work as is. We'll see. And of course I gotta cut that one up and put some decent welds in it. But my gas is empty, so tomorrow's Sunday. I'll try to cut the rest of this one up today after lunch. And it seems to be doing good here. Of course, my pinion angle's changing. Instead of the car going up and down on a spring. And I think I got enough here to weld up this sway bar. I won't have to change anything down there on the bottom. And I got enough gas here to make me a mount here on this side. And at least that'll center it side to side. I keep calling it a sway bar, panhard bar. So I'll fix that rear end in place. This one's all right now, just sitting on that socket. That's giving me the pretty much the same height they got on both sides. So I'll come out back and figure that out, and try to put a mount in here. These welds are pretty strong. You know, they're awfully ugly, but they're strong and everything's pushing up, so really it only has to be held on rotation. And this piece here is up against the top of the frame, so it ain't gonna break that big old nasty weld. And I can weld it some more on the top and the bottom, get it from the other side. Anyway, this'll be good. I got my bracket parallel with the bottom of the frame. But I think, you know, it's coming up real good. I'm not rotating the shock or anything, so I got them straight. And I rebraced this one down here in the bottom. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can see that. See that plate down in there? And that's running up that brace. So both these bolts are braced. Anyway, get something to eat, and I'll see if I can do this panhard bar. I'm just kind of sitting down here looking at it, and it's got a nice stance to it now. The rear end's pretty high. I've actually got about 2.5 to 3 inches of travel in there now, more than that shock's going to let it take. And it's got a pretty good rake to it. You can't really tell because the front end is on jack stand, so it can't go down. But I can tell by here in the back, these places where the old spring mounts, you know, they're a good foot off the ground right now. And before learn how to use my zoom. Yeah, that's at least a foot. And before, when I measured it, I had 6 inches. So I raised this 6 inches by fooling around with those springs. So I think I'm good to go here. And when I get that jack stand out of the front, that'll drop that down. I was also really low here on my floorboards, and everything was low. You know, I had 6 inches from the oil pan. Anyway, I think it'll look better raised up like this. It's going to have the same clearance in the fenders because they're hooked to the body. So I think I'll be good here. But I do like the fact that we do like the fact that it's much higher. So that's a success. I just have to cut the other one out, cut up some more of this old rusty steel, and make another one. There's that one welded in. I found out what my problem was. My little tip was sticking and causing it to chatter. I guess that's why they can call them consumables. And I put another one in, and it's running like always. So I was able to, I put a bolt or a nut in there to space it 1 inch, same as this one. And just melted that all together. Got a real nice weld across here. I cleaned up these welds a little bit. Mostly just filled them ugly holes. I can try to grind them down a little. But both shocks are vertical 2 ways. I have 4 degrees rake in both of them. Coming up, because when I clamped them onto this thing, and it's up about 10 degrees. So I was able to get a lot of that out. But that one in particular is really welded in good. I think I'm gonna try to do a little grinding and put a nut on this one. But I got it welded decent here in the back. I got way more weld than I need. But I would rather err on the side of being strong. This one I cleaned it up a lot better, so that was part of the reason I had bad weld over here. I don't guess it'd make a lot of difference because that's all going to be plated and covered up anyway. But anyway, here's Mr. Rear End up, sitting right at 90. And rear end centered. I got my pinion angle set here with this jack. So I should be able to raise it up and drop it and see what kind of trouble I got. It's on the jack stands right now, so it's not really gonna do much. There, it's off of them. Let's see what it does here when I drop it. Whoa, looks like the shock fell out. Good thing I didn't drop it. I forgot to put a nut on that. Well, I'll have to use a pry bar or something and pry that around and get it back in the hole. I don't want to let it down on there like that. It'll screw my threads up. I'll get that on and bring it back. Okay, put a nut on there. It was real easy to put in. Looked crooked, but it wasn't. So here we go. It's jacked up. The tires are still on the ground. Still on the ground. There we go. All right, still at 0. Yeah, went down about 3 inches. Right, this shock here is, well, it's moving in and out a little, but I probably got ½ an inch travel, or maybe 3/4 of an inch with my weight on it. You can see there that moving pretty good side to side with twisting motion. No clunking or dragging. So that appears to be good. Finally. And my my ride height looks pretty good here. Might have lowered it a little. I'm going to check it side to side just for kicks. Looks like it's a little down on the passenger side. I hope not. Find out here in a minute. Nope, these are both 9½ inches off the ground here in the back. you know, give or take 1/4 of an inch. So it just looked like it was crooked, but it's not. It's straight. Looks like I got about what I say, 9.5 inches. I got 9.5 inches clearance there on the rear. I got about 4 in there on the axle, and I got an inch bump stop in there. So I got good 3-inch travel, and I probably got probably 3 inches picking it up before it hits those springs. So those springs are only 6 inches long. I think it was probably, those shocks are probably only have a total of 4 inches. So I think I'm good enough without spending another $400 or $500. It's plenty good to get everything sorted out and run and drive. And you know, if I wanted to down the road, I'd get a big 10-inch set of shocks and have some travel. But I think it'll be fine. The big old heavy motor is going to calm that front end down, and I will have another probably at least 200 pounds of weight in here every time I get in all the rest of the bracing and, you know, seats and gas tank and battery and all that. So I think I'll be okay with these shocks. This was kind of a round and round circle. I welded both of them on twice and took them off. But this last time I think they're good to go. They look good. You know, I'll clean up some of these glarpy welds here with my flapper disc. Yeah, it's sitting maybe a couple degrees low on the right, but I think my floor is a couple of degrees too. So, well, that's on that brace. This brace is going to be the same. Yeah, I really can't see, a couple degrees. And the rear end, looks like the rear end's finding center 0. Well, I might have the right a little bit lower than the left. I don't know. There was some difference in the mounting of these shocks. From the center line of the bolt to where it's at on the rear end was a little different. So if I'm within a 1/4 inch, that's good enough. I fooled around with this for a while. This is the mock-up I decided on. See if I can zoom in here a little bit. What I did was I got that 1/2 inch by 2 plate hanging down there. I'll drill a hole in it for the heim joint. Up on top there I've got another of that 1 by 2, or I'm sorry, 1/2 by 2 inch flat bar that's going under this cross member for about 6-8 inches, and it's going into the frame. So I can weld this top one into the frame, and then I can weld the side one on both ends of the cross member there, and I can put a weld right across the bottom there, up underneath that where that shock is. And this should mount it really good. The back of it here, you can see that's right at that 1x2 piece is going right along the frame there for about 8 inches, and it's also going to come over here and touch the main frame, so I can weld it in the front, weld it here in the back. I don't have much light in here. There we go. So that'll weld down there on the bottom under the frame. Get rid of my zoom. So this looks like it's going to work out fine. I've just got it clamped right now vertically and back and forth longitudinally. But I can weld this bar onto this cross member. That'll make it strong. Weld it to the frame, and I'll have a butt weld here on this bar that's dropping down, but can't get it much longer than that from the bolt over there and the shock to, you know, about the same. I've got it at an angle right now. I need to straighten that out, drill a hole in it, make it round. But this all looks pretty strong, and that cross member is riveted into that frame, but I'll finish welding it up inside anyway. It's not real thick, but it's all one piece, and I think it's going to have enough to keep it from spreading, because I got this one. I get the spreader bar back here in the back. This frame that I built in here, that's going to hold it. And then I've got the center cross member, and then I got 2 more of them up there. I've got transmission mount and another center member. So this is held in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places. I think I'll be good enough. That sway bar is not really putting a hell of a lot of motion or torque or anything into it. This will be mostly when you're going around corners. With that rear end's going to want to try to go to the side, and it's not a positive traction, so it'll probably try to twist it a little because of one wheel. But I think I've got plenty in there to clean up, and I got some nasty welds, but I'm getting tired. But I can grind these off a little and clean them up even more. And so tomorrow I'll get this panhard bar. I'll get it all bolted in there. It's actually not real bad right now. I can see it's, you know, just I get the rhythm going here. Yeah, see, it's moving about 3/4 of an inch. That panhard bar will stop that altogether. So that should be a done deal on this rear. when my heim joints come, I'll make these top bars, and that'll finish up the 4-link. So I think I probably got enough here for another video. I'll try to upload it, guys. Hope you learned something from it. Like and subscribe. Thanks a lot. See you later.